Good morning, Essex.
Good morning.
You all are a sight for sore eyes. It is good to be back. We had a great time at the pulpit swap last week. I was up in Middletown. I really missed you guys a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you are here for perhaps the first time, my name is Dave Stambaugh. I am the pastor here at the Essex Congregational Church, and we'd like to welcome you to our time together this morning. We have a welcome to worship book in our lobby if you would like to sign that and let us know you were here. And I hope you'll join us for some light refreshments immediately after the service. We gather in the Co-View room just over your left shoulder back there. And it'll be great to get to know some of you. And it's great to see the choir too. Good morning, choir.
Good morning.
Great to see you. Great to see you. We've got some great music this morning. I heard the choir warming up. Just a few quick announcements first that aren't in your bulletin, and then we'll get to the ones that are in your bulletin. If you ordered a chicken pot pie as part of our fundraiser, Jane Haney, stand up. Make sure you see Jane Haney at coffee hour. And she'll take care of you and direct you to the location of your pie. All right? She'll let you know where it is. Tammy, why don't you come up quickly and make a quick announcement? There you go.
Hi, everyone. Many of you know me as the moderator. We at Council were approached by some members about the idea of selling the parsonage. And as council, we decided that we needed to investigate that idea. And so the only thing we've done thus far is talk about it a little bit. And also we've gotten a couple of CMAs, which is comparative market analysis, to try to get an idea of what it's worth. Aside from that, it's a fresh topic. Okay, and in an effort to be fully transparent and to enable all of you to voice opinions, we are going to have a town hall meeting on November 17th, right after service here. And I think it's going to be downstairs.
It'll be either downstairs or the seminar, depending on how many people want to come up.
And I know many of you have opinions on either side of this, believe me, as does council. So we're not going to discuss that today, but I wanted to just give you the heads up about that meeting. I'll be making an announcement the next couple of weeks, and then we'll have our meeting on Sunday, and we'll come equipped with those CMAs, and come bring your questions and bring your thoughts and your opinions, and we'll, by way of procedure, just so you know, what will happen is it will go to a vote to council first. If council passes that referendum or whatever you want to call it, it will then go to a congregational vote. So you'll still have your ability to vote, but we want to give you the ability to talk first. So that's what we're doing, okay?
Thank you, Tammy. Thank Tammy. And it's a perfect time to discuss that kind of question during stewardship season. You'll hear a little bit more about that in our time together. To your bulletin quickly. This Thursday, October 31st, we are going to be joining together for the Halloween parade. If you brought any candy this morning to share, there's a food donation basket right here in the hallway and also at the Methodist Hill entrance. You can leave your candy there. You can drop it off during the week as well, and then join us at the bottom of the hill at the circle, and we will be there for the Halloween parade. November 10th is Stewardship Sunday. Pledge cards will be going out this week. They'll be followed up with an email, so keep an eye out for those. And then we will have a brunch after worship on November 10th. November 15th, we're having our first field trip as a church. We're going to take a lunch and learn field trip to the synagogue in Chester. There's a wonderful art exhibit there, and so we're going to go and take a look at that art exhibit. We're going to be joined by the rabbi who will walk us through the exhibit as well, and then we'll go out to lunch afterwards at the Pataconk. So we hope you can join us for that. November 24th is our midwinter meal assembly, also known very affectionately here as Wear Your Sneakers to Church Sunday, because we get up and we do some walking around and we put together some meals for some folks who are food insecure. We continue to raise money for that meal. We've gotten some wonderful grants, but we do continue to raise money for that meal as well. You'll be hearing more about that in the future. And as always, in the lobby, we have some sign-ups if you'd like to help sponsor flowers or help support our coffee hour or perhaps be a scripture reader. You can always find out more information about our church on our website at essexucc.org. 2 things have happened since I saw you last. I'm going to tell you one now, and I'm going to save one for later. I have become a comet nerd. I have become a comet nerd. I have been out just about every night. All right? And you remember like last week when the weather was warm? I was like in a shorts and t-shirts and a beach chair, right? Looking at the comet. Has anybody seen the comet? No. Wait a minute. Becky doesn't count. I just show her pictures of the comet. No, you count. Of course you count. Of course you count. Nobody's seen the comet. As Rick said, it's almost done. I've got some pictures that I didn't take, but pictures of the comet that we'll get to later. But it has been amazing. It is truly something to behold. If you haven't seen it, don't worry. It will be back in about 80,000 years. So you can catch it on the next time. But I thought that Psalm 19 seemed like a very appropriate call to worship. It's in your bulletin, and it'll be on the screens in just a second. And we'll follow that up with a new hymn as well. It's a familiar tune, but there will be new words. So let me invite you to either look at your screen or at your bulletin, and let's join together in our call to worship. The heavens declare the glory of God. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words. No sounds are heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. Let me invite you to stand as we sing our first hymn of the morning. Stars and planets flung in orbit. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 4. you. Before you sit down, turn to those around you, greet them this morning with the peace of God.
Hi, everybody.
Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace. Peace be with you. Peace. Peace be with you. Peace be with you, son. Peace be with you. Great to see you guys. Kevin, peace be with you. Also with you. Also with you. This is one of my favorite images recently for our time of prayer, because for me, it symbolizes outwardly what we do in this moment inwardly, right? We hold one another. We support one another. We lift one another up. We comfort those who mourn. We rejoice with those who sorrow. So praying hands, you know, the praying hand emoji we sometimes send on our text, that's actually technically, from what I understand, I think that's a high five emoji actually. Somebody said, but it looks like praying hands, so we use them as praying hands. But as praying hands, that's just us praying, right? This is all of us together, this image, praying together, supporting one another. We continue to pray for Marilyn as she mourns Bob's passing. We lift up Sherry as well, who it looks like is going to need maybe another week or two of recovery. So keep Sherry in your prayers. And from all accounts, our friend Mike is doing well after knee surgery, back home, recovering well. Are there other concerns, other joys, other things that you would like to join in a circle of hands as your family of faith supports you and lifts you up during perhaps a difficult time?
I have a new appreciation for firefighters because in Deep River we are voting whether to allocate funds for a new firehouse and new trucks. And I went to a very in-depth presentation at the firehouse and knew that my feelings, how much they give to our communities without gain. And then you look at the fire up in Meriden and Berlin and you say, oh, God bless them too.
And the firefighter there who lost his life. I think he was a 22-year veteran of the fire department. It is an amazing thing. The volunteer services, the volunteer ambulance, the volunteer firefighters who show up. If there's an emergency, if there's an accident, if there's a fire, if there's something, they show up. And so thank you for that. I appreciate that. Other folks who have concerns or joys or anything that they would like to share?
I got a joy. My oldest nephew, which happens to be my mom's step-grandson, if that's such a thing, turned 18 over the weekend, and let's say prayers that it's a good year for 18 and he doesn't fall into the dangerous crowds.
Wow, thanks, Mike. Mike always has the best clothes on the Sunday before Halloween. I love, if you haven't seen him yet, you'll see him when he reads the scripture today. Put it this way, you won't miss him.
Hi, so 2 weekends ago, Reverend Dave, and actually Becky as well, came up to the hills of Western Massachusetts, cow country, and performed a memorial service for my mother. And we are very grateful, and he did a wonderful job. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's do this, shall we? Let's close our eyes. What I want you to do is think about right now that one thing that's on your mind. Think about that one thing that is demanding all of your attention right now. Maybe it was some of the frost last night, you didn't get a plant in, or maybe you're having people over for lunch later and you've got to go shopping. Whatever it is, just let go for these next few moments. You can pick it up again later, but for this moment right now, right here, picture those hands on the screen holding one another, lifting up one another. We all know people who are sick. We all know people who are hurting. We all know people who are celebrating. We all know people who put themselves in harm's way. And we just want to take this time and gather our love together so that it might go out into the world as a force for good, as a force for comfort and strength. So we pray, oh God, this morning that indeed you would bind us together through the power of the Spirit. You would allow us to feel one another's pain. See one another's tears. Join in one another's celebrations. And lift one another up when we are down. You have called us to hold the needs of others as dear to us as our own. You've called us to be concerned for others as we are concerned for ourselves. So we silently remember now all those who have asked for our prayers this day. We thank you, O God, for this community of faith, this family of love that can join together and share life's hardships and life's joys. And we do so together with the words Jesus taught us, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Before we receive the offering this morning, I've asked Becky if she would come forward during this first Sunday of our unofficial stewardship season and share a little bit about stewardship and what giving means to her. Beck.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Becky. I am married to Dave, and normally on a Sunday I'm with another church where I serve as the Christian Education Director. But Dave has asked me to share a little bit about how I learned stewardship. And stewardship is just a churchy word for how do we care for the church? How do we care for our church? How do we care for the ministries and the people here and our community? So my main answer is my parents taught me. My parents are huge givers. Our faith and our church were extremely important to us growing up. We were taught to give. My grandparents taught them, they taught us, and it was very common for us to give yearly a sum of money from our salaries. And a lot of the verses that come to mind that I remember growing up, in no particular order. I remember, to whom much is given, much will be required. That's in Luke. I remember, if somebody needs a cloak or a shirt, give them your coat as well. I remember that in Matthew 5, the Sermon on the Mount. I remember hearing them talk about where your treasure is, there your heart is also. Those were verses that I was raised hearing. And so it's very important to me that we give wherever we are, wherever we land, wherever our church home is. This is our church home. And though it's important to give in order to pay the electrical bill, the main reason why we give is so that we can continue the ministries that are here. And the three things that have popped into my head, and we kind of saw it exemplified in our prayer time right before, is we are a community. We hold each other dear. We support people who have lost their mom. We support people who are going through surgeries, support someone who's lost a spouse. We are there for each other so that we can love one another and care for one another. So that's the first reason why I give. The second reason I give is so that in our church home, we can learn, we can grow in our faith, we can draw strength for the week as we hear the message, and we can also live as Jesus taught us to live, through Jesus' example. I work with the children and the youth, and so my next response is due to that. This is a safe place. This is a safe place where people of all ages can go, can ask questions, can talk about things that maybe they don't talk about in other circles. Our giving supports a safe space for that to happen. And finally, as Dave talked about the chicken pot pies, we also serve people outside of our walls. That's what we are also called to do. So we feed those who are food insecure. We go out and we help people. We're also part of the community as we're doing fun things with the Halloween parade. So stewardship to me means supporting all of those things and really embracing our church home and making it our community and our family.
Thanks, Becky. As our choir gets in place now for our morning offering, I will thank you in advance for your continued generosity, for the way you give and support this church. There is a QR code in your bulletin if you would like to give electronically. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, that QR code will be on the screen in just a few minutes. And as the ushers come forward, we will gratefully receive our morning offering.
Lift us
you pray with me? Good and gracious God, as we join together in prayer, we also join together in giving, so that we might be and do all that you have called us to be and to do in this place at this time. Amen. You may be seated as you hear this morning's scriptures. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Morning. The reading today is from the book of Genesis. So we're going all the way back to the very beginning. God spoke and said, "Let us make humankind in our image, reflecting our nature, so they can be stewards of the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, the wild animals, and yes, the earth itself, and every living thing that moves on the face of earth." So humankind was created as God's reflection. In the divine image God created them, male and female, God created them. God blessed them and said, "Bear fruit, increase your numbers, fill earth, and be responsible for it. Watch over the fish of the sea, birds in the air, and all living things on the earth." And so it was. God looked at all of this creation and pronounced that it was good, very good. Evening came and morning followed the sixth day.
Thanks, Mike. Awesome. As I mentioned earlier, I've become a little bit of a comet junkie, and these are not my pictures, but these are some of the ones that have been collected by folks over the last month or so, since this comet has been streaking through the western sky. I've dusted off some old binoculars, and you have to get in the right place, and it took me a while to find it. Somebody actually told me the first night I went out, "Oh, you got to look this way and then up and over and here." And once you see it, there it is. And you know exactly where to look each successive night. This comet is known technically as C 2023 A3 Chuchinshan Atlas. That's the name of this comet. And basically all that means, those are all descriptions of when it was found, right? And who found it, basically. And according to our creation story, the sun and the moon and the stars, and we could assume the comets, were all created on day 4, placed in the heavens on day 4. And I should probably say on day 4, because I am not of the persuasion that it was a literal day, right? I think Genesis, as Mike said, it goes way back to the beginning, but it goes there very poetically, right? I think these first couple chapters in Genesis are not science textbooks, they're poetry, right? I truly believe that. And today in our scripture, we're going to jump to day, right? Day 6. And if you follow on our slide up there, if you're trying to figure out where day 4 and day 6 are, it may look backwards to you, right? But remember, in the Hebrew language, you read right to left. So day 1 is on the right, and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 5 and 6 as well. And I wanted to use this verse because I think this is perhaps the very first account of stewardship in the scriptures, right? Earlier this year, we said one definition of stewardship is what we do with what we have. what we do with what we have. So stewardship is not only about money and pledge cards and the second Sunday in November, if that's when you celebrate, right? It's about much, much more than that. Other synonyms for stewardship could be management or supervision, administration, operation, oversight. What we do with what we have. We had a stewardship of our thoughts during our prayer time, right? I asked you to have those thoughts that were busy in your brain. I asked you to set those aside so that we could focus on some of the concerns and putting ourselves in a space so that we might be open to God's love this day. We might be stewards of our thoughts, so to speak. And think of the text. You heard Mike read it. Let us make humankind in our image, reflecting our nature, so they can be stewards of the fish and the birds and the cattle and the animals and, yes, the earth itself. And once we are made, God says to us, bear fruit, increase in numbers, fill the earth, and be responsible for it. Watch over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and all living things on earth. That is stewardship. And my takeaway from this verse is that part of the job, part of the responsibility of being human, right, simply involves watching over, being responsible for the world and what's in it. We are responsible. Another definition of stewardship could be taking care of stuff. Right? That's stewardship. Taking care of stuff. And speaking of taking care of stuff, the other thing that happened since I saw you last very, very early on Wednesday morning, they paved our road in Guilford. They started about 2 weeks ago trimming the branches on the trees. All the trees that lined our street, right? They trimmed those branches so that the trucks could get by. Right? And then they came and they skimmed off that top coat of blacktop in about, I think that took about 45 minutes. Right? And then on Wednesday morning, they started treating it with this black, gooey stuff. That was just literally, you see where all that steam's coming out? Just stuff just dripping out of that little tanker. Right? Then the big trucks come along and start dumping blacktop. And the big truck hooks up with that little truck, and that's the one that puts all the blacktop out where it's supposed to be. And they've got little guides and measurements, and it is amazing. And then the big daddy of them all comes along and presses it down and makes it all smooth. Now, there are a lot of great benefits to having a newly paved road, but my selfish benefit is I come out of my driveway now and hit that road, and it is smooth. It is just beautiful. I may even pull out my rollerblades. I haven't rollerbladed since California, but that road is so smooth and so pretty. I'll tell you something. A comet is one thing, but paving a road is a modern miracle. It is absolutely amazing. And these roads have been around for a while. These roads were around way before I got to town. Right? The roads in Guilford have been there for a long, long time. Guilford was settled about the mid-1600s, right? I've got houses on my street from the 1700s and the 1800s, but these roads in Guilford have been there for a long, long time. And they're going to be here long after I'm gone, right? They'll be here, just like everyone else on my street. We'll be long gone, and the roads of Guilford will still be there. But everyone in my town is here now, right? And so it's our responsibility to care for the streets while we live there. We steward the streets, if you will. Deep River is trying to steward their fire department and figure out what they can do now while we're here, right, to take care of folks from the fire department's perspective. Now, I think it's safe to say that in the same way, none of us were in this building in 1852. Right? That's probably safe to say. Let me look around. Yeah. Oh, Dud maybe. Dud maybe was in the youth group, he said. None of us were here then, right? And none of us were probably here when this picture was drawn. I think they say 1906 was the approximate date. I don't know how to check the accuracy of that, but that's what our church looked like 125 years ago. And then none of us were here then, right? The church was here long before any of us were here. And it will be here, hopefully, long after we are gone, right? But it falls to us now to take care of it. That's our calling. That's our responsibility. While we are here, it's our job, our calling to manage, supervise, handle, oversee, steward that with which we have been entrusted, so we can pass it on to the generations ahead. Here's a great stewardship picture. This is maybe one of my favorite stewardship pictures ever. All right? Did you hear that? Somebody said, wow, what a difference. This was Wednesday morning. Folks cleaned out that area in the parking lot that had been overgrown. There was another group out doing it a week before, and there's probably, we figured maybe 1 or 2 times we'll have to do that before that project is done. But that's the grounds crew here on Wednesday. Weeding, trimming, caring for the land. That right there, that is stewardship, right? They are caring for that with which they have been entrusted. And we also have to take care of the inside from time to time, right? We have new paint, new carpet, organ repair, all sorts of stuff that has to be done from time to time. We're putting in a new screen door downstairs because the old one had seen better days, as they said. So it falls on us to do that. That's stewardship. Tammy mentioned the parsonage and the discussion we'll have. There's a lot of stewardship going on over there. We had to put a new roof on the parsonage not too long ago because we care for that with which we have been entrusted. They put in a new furnace. And Tammy mentioned the fact that we're having this discussion about the parsonage, right? And there's no right or wrong answer about selling a parsonage. So don't get too worried that we're going to make there's no right or wrong decision. Some churches keep their parsonage when the pastor doesn't live in them. Some churches sell their parsonage when the pastor doesn't live in them. So it just falls to us to decide what we want to do, what you want to do with what you have. That's a stewardship question for all of us. It's an individual question, about pledge cards. and time we want to spend weeding. It's an organizational or corporate stewardship question about what we want to do with the parsonage. Because churches have different questions during different life stages of their church. We have different needs at different times of the church's life cycle. And each year, stewardship season helps us take stock of our church, right? The buildings, the grounds, the ministries. Because we're all connected, right? And this is our church right now. This is your church right now. So you decide how much time you can give to weeding and raking or setting up coffee hour, or how much you can pledge to help support the ministries of the church, because we're all connected. And we're connected in a powerful, powerful way that some of you here don't even realize. And I'm going to tell you what that connection is. It struck me during a conversation that there may be a 6 degrees of separation moment here in this church. I said, do me a favor, do me a little homework. Ask your grandson if they know so-and-so. And it turns out that they did. It turns out that Ted's grandson works with Cindy's grandson. Ted's grandson and Cindy's grandson work at the same company. I want you guys to talk about that later. We are connected in ways we don't even realize or don't even understand. And it falls to us at this time, as we are connected, to do the best with what we have been given. In the same way, think about it this way, in the same way that Lent helps us take stock of our insides, right? We take care of the spiritual things during Lent, right? We take care of the spiritual inside. Stewardship season helps us take care of the outside, take stock of the physical and the material, and helps us to ask, how do we best care for our stuff? In the weeks ahead, you will hear some more stewardship stories, and we'll hear some more stewardship scriptures. And we trust that God will guide us during this season of discernment and caretaking and stewardship as we decide in our hearts how to best support this church now, so that one day we can hand it off to the generations that are to come. Amen? Let's pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the gift of this church. We thank you for literally those who have paved the way before us, pun intended. Thank you for those who have gifted us this church. Your calling during this season is for us to decide how best we can take care of it now, so that we might gift it to the future generations. Guide our hearts, guide our minds in all that we think, say, and do. Amen. We seek to God to be our vision and guide us in all that we think, say, and do. So we will close with number 451 in your black hymnal, Be Now My Vision. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 4. Let's rise together in body or spirit. may be seated. I've got a quick musical trivia question for you before we go. Have you ever heard of the Four Aces? Oh, you have? Wow, this is going to go wonderfully then. Hold on one second. Have you heard of the Saddlemen? The Saddlemen. All right, those of you who know the Four Aces, you can't answer this question. Those of you who haven't heard of them, this may be why. Because in 1952, the Saddlemen, formerly known as the Four Aces, were renamed the Comets. As in Bill Haley and the name was inspired by the common mispronunciation of Halley's Comet. Technically, it's Halley's Comet, but people would mispronounce it Haley's Comet, which was conveniently Bill Haley's last name. Now, I don't think anyone is going to be renaming their band C2023A3 Chuchinshan Atlas anytime soon. No chance. But make no mistake, seeing that comet is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Literally. And the stewardship of our church is the opportunity of our lifetime. Reflect on that as you hear the sung benediction. And then immediately after that, I just have one more announcement. Remember to drop off some candy this week if you are able, and join us at the parade on Thursday. Usually I make my way to the back of the sanctuary during the postlude, but I'm going to keep my front seat for this one. All right? Take it away, Kevin.